This is Wade, and you are in Wade World. All right, we're going to do something a little different today. This is going to be more of an analysis of what's happening with Japan through the lens of Sony and the discontinuation of the PlayStation supporting discs and stuff. So anyway, Wade will give you a little bit of an overview of why Wade doesn't really talk about gaming and why this is just not something that Wade is interested in. And it's not because Wade has never played games. Wade has, all the way from God of War 2 to Fortnite. But the thing is, gaming is, it does two things, right? First of all, it hacks the drive that as men that we have as men, that we are goal oriented, mission oriented, and it puts it into gaming. So instead of going out and doing stuff, a lot of us spend our times gaming. But this is only a problem for high testosterone, high IQ men. If you have medium testosterone, you're an average man, you're not going to have this problem. Secondly, ever since Wade played these first games, Wade was like, you know what? They are training us for controlling like robots on the battlefield. And you can see that like now we have drones on the battlefield, and there's literally units that sit with joysticks and they control those drones to fight. So that was right. And then another option that this gaming does is just like degenerate content online, which hacks the male drive to reproduce, it just diverts a lot of energy in not just mentally, but just physically from you. For example, when God of War 2 was introduced to Wade, on the PlayStation, Wade played a lot of it, and for a week, like, because it's so masculine hacking, like it's so goal oriented that you want to be like, all right, I have a mission, I have to accomplish this. And I think Wade mentioned this for a week straight. After a week, Wade took a pause and realized, wow, Wade did not talk to his friend, not really talk to family, not talk to the girlfriend, just sat here, not eaten properly. It's like, wow, this is bloody addictive in a good way, because this is taking away you from playing the game of life, right? So if you play it on and off just because you're bored, that's fine. But a lot of you are very addicted to it. And the discussion. But right now we're going to be discussing what Sony has done. So now the thing is, when something happens that affects people who are not at all in the sphere of the thing happening, that is probably a pretty big thing. What does Wayne mean by this? This means that when Sony decided that, you know what, we're going to discontinue gaming on discs, and we're only going to let people game on downloaded media and stuff, that upset a lot of people, because just like subscription services in cars for heated seats and stuff that they tried to introduce in BMW and they walked back, but they will, you know, people have a short-term memory. What this does is it takes ownership away from you. Because when you buy a physical game, you can play it indefinitely. But when you buy a subscription based game, believe you can have that game revoked, your subscription canceled, and you can't do anything with it. So instead of being an owner, you are again being turned into a renter. And if you look across the world, this is literally this pattern that you see across all the Western civilization. Well, this is cool. What is this? A flying motorcycle. All right, that's cool. That is cool. See, this is what Wade is talking about. It just hacks your masculine interest of interesting things, right? If you take too much interest in it. So when the world is being turned from owners into renters, we are returning to a feudal system. Remember the feudal system that these merchants in charge of the world? Because let's be honest, the merchant class is in charge of the world since central banking was introduced by the merchantiest of merchants. They like the feudal system is so evil. The king owns everything, the lord owns everything. Revolt, revolt, revolution, and you were like, yeah, man, that sucks. And you destroyed the people who were at least your own people, your own lords, your own aristocrats, your own kings that were your own blood. Now it's been replaced by a bunch of merchants who don't really care about you. Like before, throughout history, no empire would sell its own people's industries to foreigners. Like the British would not sell a British coachmaker to the bloody Spanish, let alone the Chinese or the Indians or the Jews or Israelis or whatever. But now half of British cars are owned by Indians and Chinese people. Swiss companies are owned by a bunch of Jews in Israel or Italy or whatever. So it's like the national identity is being eroded away. Like you can just buy the brand and be like, yeah, it's still British. No, it's not. What made it British, quintessentially British, was British people. All right. If you buy the brand from China, it'll be Chinese people. Make it Chinese. That's what people don't realize. And that's what made an example out. Well, out of in World War II by that firebombing of Dresden. Millions of Germans were killed. Those were, and then Japan was nuked to really like, yo, if you stand up against this central banking tyranny, we will mess you up. Even then, Japan recovered, and it's been the Japanese in its soul and Japanese society and Japanese things. But you can see the slow corruption and creep coming in. The feminism, which leads to destroyed birth rates, the immigration, which Japanese people are not interested in, whether you are from Norway or North Africa, they just don't want anybody who's not Japanese there. They don't even want Chinese or Korean people there who are genetically much closer to them. And then finally, we can see this in the financial policy because the biggest bomb that Japan blasted over it has not even been the nuclear bomb, it's been the financial bomb, in that their central bank just kept interest rates low for so long that this was literally an arbitrage opportunity. If you're like a finance person, you'll understand what an arbitrage opportunity is. Like you can borrow from a currency that is weaker and invest in things that give you higher return, and then you can pay off the loan. So basically, you borrow like $1,000 at 1% interest, and you invest and get 10% return, and then you just pay off the loan, and you made 9% profit for basically nothing for free. Now, the problem with Sony and the discs is that the fuel system is being brought back. However, instead of people of your own blood, of your own community, right? Lords didn't just drop out of the sky. The lords of provinces were the best of the men of those provinces, and the kings were the best of the lords. So, right from the king to the lords to the knights, naturally aligned. These were people who were your own people. There were a couple of bad apples. Most of them were like, yo, these are my people. I don't want them to suffer. But feudalism with merchant classes has only one loyalty, and that is to resource extraction, or we can call it money, right? So they don't have any loyalty to anybody. That is why you can buy from foreign countries, you can buy their technology, even if you're not one of their people. Whereas stronger countries, conservative countries, they don't let you even own land in their country if you're not one of them. Good example, Saudi Arabia. Other good example, North Korea. And both of them, whatever problems they may have, they're not having any problem with collapsing populations. So, this whole fiasco of killing off the disc games and keeping only the downloadable games is yet another indication that the creep of merchant feudalism, it's not techno feudalism, it's merchant feudalism. Tech is just the way that they're doing it. It's a slow creep of merchant feudalism where they take away the rights of people who want to own things and convert them into if any of you have seen the Dark Mirror connection is unstable, all right. All right, we're back. So there was this guy, and they always got to insert some person somewhere. So anyway, who had a bunch of money because his brother died or something. And she wanted to be a singer, so they could enter competitions only if they had like a million credits. So he really liked that she sang well, and he's like, you know what? I'm gonna buy this ticket for you, even if I have to struggle a bit because I have more than enough credits, and I use all that much. And he bought her the tickets, and she sang really well. And they were like, yeah, you know, singer, but you got too many singles, but you're a sexy girl, so we'll make you into a degenerate pornographic actress. And that really pissed him off. And he was like, what did, and which is right, you know, like, it's like they destroy something beautiful. Because they're merchants, right? You know, you can watch the good episode. So he again makes a million credits, really, really working very, 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 very hard. And, you know, fix the situation. But what's interesting is that everybody in that scenario who's not a winner is in like a 5 foot by 10 foot box room full of screens, and they're constantly blasted with media. And to skip that media, you either have to pay to skip ads, pay to turn it off, pay for subscription. So it's literally like one of the poignant scenes of that story is like when he's paid off a lot of his money to her. You know, he's like, I have enough money, even if I help her achieve her dream to, you know, have a normal life. But when she is transitioning to something horrible, and he sees that he can't skip it, so it's like a bit of torture. And that is something that is really, really poignant, and it shows like where we are heading with subscription-based models. You won't own it. You won't when you want. You won't have the option to skip ads. You'll probably have to have ads in the games and then pay to skip them. And if you can't pay to skip them, you'll be sitting there watching ads for things that you may not even like. Sony is Japanese, PlayStation is Japanese. These people are known for making very high, very reliable stuff, right? The indication that they are moving in the same direction where Germany, again, a destroyed country, and the other services, which are literally like resource extraction, resource extraction, resource extraction, feudalism with merchants instead of your lords. It shows the decline of Japan, honestly. It shows that the Japanese took a lot longer, but they also have been conquered pretty much by the merchants. So one of the best countries making some of the best products is now going down the same route. And there's not much you can do about it. You can post, you can cancel your subscription. It helps a little bit, but it doesn't help to solve the problem. It just delays the problem. And the fact is, most of the people who are gamers are so, again, you know, if you are a hardcore gamer, you're mentally too weak to actually take yourself away from the addiction. Unless it's making you a lot of money and all that. Okay, then it's your job. But if all you do is you wake up and you game and you don't do anything about your life, your family, you don't do anything about actual living in the world, so you're mentally already weak, right? So you're already been trained to take abuse. So this is the future that through Sony you can see that Japan is choosing. And you literally cannot don't vote the way we want, we'll make it happen anyway. Sad, but that's the reality we live in. And we'll revisit this again because this is something that has upset a lot of you. And let's see what happens. But the outlook is pretty much predicated on human nature, and so it's dire. Well, until next time, hope you gamers get something done, but remember to keep it cool, keep it smart, and as always, enjoy.